That is the ambient sounds of Florida behind me.
Hi, Florida.
Oh, this is Whyte Noise. I'm Michael Judson-Berry. Welcome.
I'm Chelsea Jacobson.
And Ryan Wilder, who's actually bringing real white noise to the podcast.
Real white noise.
You are.
Real white noise. Just listen to it. Relax.
How lovely.
Where in Florida are you again?
Up in Jacksonville, or St. Augustine, to be precise.
Oh, okay.
St. Augustine. Is that like the Florida version of St. Olaf? How great would that be?
What is St. Olaf?
Oh, from
Minnesota?
Golden Girls.
Oh.
Sorry,
Probably.
I mean
like,
Minnesota,
is it the
but
place
yeah,
in
Rose always
Minnesota?
talks about St. Olaf, and she's like her St. Olaf stories.
Okay.
Which,
Golden
if you want a
Girls.
fun YouTube dive, I highly recommend it. Sorry, that was a really dated reference.
Really niche. Well, I don't even know about data. It's just like really specific.
Yeah.
That's
Everyone
niche.
in my
Beautifully
world is a
niche.
big Golden Girls fan, so I just forget that. That's not a thing
Fair.
everywhere.
Like, I like Golden Girls, but I haven't seen enough of it. But I like it.
Oh, I love it. It's a good, like, passively put it on in the background and, like, kind of, like, tune in for the jokes, if
Yeah.
you will.
And still holds up. I rewatched it during
Agreed.
COVID because they put it on Hulu, and I was like, wait a second. For a sitcom from the 80s, this is actually still really relevant.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
the
It's
jokes
Norman
actually
Lear,
still
right?
work. I think so.
Oh, Susan Harris.
Susan Harris.
I don't know why I thought that was Norman Lear. That's really wrong. He's done every other sitcom ever, I guess.
Every other major sitcom. So I guess it's
Yeah.
a fair guess.
White noise, here we are. Again.
We
we
just
are.
talk about nothing. We're white people talking about nothing, like sitcom, like
Like many a failed
wrong,
sitcom.
yeah, failed
We're like-
sitcoms, attributing creations of sitcoms to the wrong people.
And today is Parrots.
Parrot.
Which, Chelsea,
Yes.
you were excited about.
I love parrots. Yeah, if you're just joining, welcome, and also, Michael and Ryan each have 10 minutes to talk about a random topic, and then I pick a winner based off of nothing. So today, yes, we're talking about parrots, and I like parrots. I think they're cool. I think they're smart. They can talk.
You ever
Come
had
on.
a parrot?
No, I would never own one. That sounds awful.
Oh,
They
why?
smell bad.
Oh.
Oh, birds are gross. Like, birds are gross. Also, I don't like caging a bird, you know?
They're
Like,
a lot.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
because you're a good person. That's really what it is.
I
Yeah.
guess, yeah. I'm like, I don't know. You know, you see a parrot in a small cage, and you just most animals, by the way, you're like, that's not it. I don't think a parrot should be in a little cage.
Yeah.
Have you
not right.
have you noticed we have like a theme where like we're finding the good things for like Chelsea, you're a good person. And I feel like we tell you this like every episode, and you're like, well,
You don't know me like that.
That's hilarious. It's true. We are building like a case for you being just an upstanding human being. And yeah,
Chelsea,
every time
we're-
you're like, I disagree.
we're on
You
your
don't know
side.
me like that. You don't know me like that. What I'm up to. You should have seen the people I was hanging out with last night.
Mhm.
Yes, like real quick, before we record, we were talking about Chelsea's dinner. We both got very mama hen when Chelsea texted us at like 2:45 in the morning last night, being like, confirming that we were going to record today. And we both were like, what were you doing up so late, Chelsea? Also,
Yes.
how do you still look so healthy and good?
Oh my God, stop it.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
but I was
real
at
reminded
quick,
us in my 40s. Yeah.
I know, and that I'm swiftly approaching it. So real quick recap, tell us about this dinner again.
Really quickly, I was at a dinner with like election deniers last night. I was like, what timeline is this? Why am I with election deniers? They're crazy bad people.
But
Actually,
again, you were the good person at the dinner, so
I was the good person. I guess, yeah, I was thrown.
my dad will listen to this and hopefully laugh at this, but I'm also with election deniers.
Is your dad an election denier?
I don't actually know. He'll probably tell me after listening to this, but maybe.
Wow. I mean, honestly, I think that's the one thing that it's like, you know, politics is politics, but like denying that we have an actual democracy is like not good. It's
Yeah.
not true.
That's a crazy one.
Anyway.
But you stuck it out. You stayed through the whole dinner, and I'm assuming
Stuck
you
it
didn't
out.
like punch anybody or anything. So that's
No, but
you didn't
wow.
resort to violence.
I'm
so
too small. I'm 5 feet tall. I know not to punch anybody.
That's true. That might
I'm an
not
Olive.
end well for you.
Yeah,
There's no need to punch. And they're probably all carrying guns. So
that's so true.
this one wasn't for the conservative crew. I'm
No,
sorry.
so sorry. If
Well,
you're
if
an
you're
election
conservative,
denier,
that's fine. Just election denial's a different animal.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is kind of a different game. Yeah.
That's what we'll
Mike.
say. Yeah.
What if
Sorry.
this is actually a giant scheme by Lin-Manuel Miranda just to
To write
create
another
another
musical?
storyline? Like, in other words, this is
Wow.
all an engineered stunt to create another hit musical.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's an insurrectionist.
That would be.
He's not an insurrectionist. He's a director.
And we're all just his humble pawns.
We're all just pawns in the game to create the next hit musical.
Little does Trump know.
Little does Trump know.
It's all going to be a big 11 o'clock number.
Oh, Lin-Manuel Miranda is actually the puppeteer. I love it.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's very smart.
He is very smart. Good storyteller. Okay. Who did we say was starting?
I am starting.
Michael's starting.
Michael.
And your time starts now.
Okay, I'm so excited because this was another one where it's going to be like the meandering mind of Michael Judson Berry. Because I also, Chelsea, like you, I find birds fascinating in general, like the avian world, because they're so smart.
I agree. Yeah.
They are just so smart. I remember I did another podcast once where I researched ravens and how they're smarter than the average 4-year-old and how they understand water
Yeah, they're really
displacement.
smart.
And like even like some adult humans don't fully grasp water displacement, but they do. And also real quick, one of my favorite bird things is if you ever watch Olivia Colman in an interview, she will sometimes do her impression of a pigeon and it's brilliant. You did not see that because you were listening to a podcast, but Google Olivia Colman being a pigeon. I think it's a pigeon. Very funny. So, parrots. My mind went to a few different things. So I loosely researched a bunch of different things. My first thought was Gilbert Gottfried, to be quite honest.
Love it.
Because I think of my first, like, to me, the most iconic parrot is Iago from Aladdin. And I just love Gilbert Gottfried. I think there was a scandal at some point in his life, but he's very funny. The voice of the Affleck duck, which I think most people now would know him for.
Oh, that's right.
I did a loose, like, little research dive on Gilbert Gottfried. He's from Coney Island, which I think is fun. He was raised in Coney Island, started doing stand-up when he was 15. He had 2 sisters who took him. They were like, you're kind of funny. And well, I know him from mostly, and then sort of like made his way in the stand-up circuit, ended up on SNL briefly. But I think his most iconic thing, obviously, is Iago in Aladdin. Next to when also he did Hollywood Squares. And I don't know, Chelsea, if you're too young, but I loved Hollywood Squares when I was a kid. The show where, like, they had celebrities and you played tic-tac-toe and they were in the boxes and they had to give funny answers. And that's where I feel like he was, like, a real mainstay in Hollywood Squares. And I loved him on that. So that's a brief Gilbert Gottfried, just made me think of him. The other thing, the other place where my mind went was pirates, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I was curious as to if they pirates actually had parrots. And there are, you know, because really where it started was Treasure Island with Long John Silver. And that's the first time that we see, you know, a pirate with a parrot. And he's sort of like the most iconic pirate parrot.
I thought that was just a fast food chain. No?
Actual pirate?
It's an actual... How dare you? You are in Florida. But yeah, so he...
Hush puppies. Yum.
Hush puppies. So yeah, that's where the pirate parrot partnership... Oh, I love alliteration.
Pirate partnership.
That's where the pirate parrot partnership first began. Oh, you may love alliteration. Oh, you do.
Principal pirate parrot.
The
Principal pirate parrot partnership. Yes.
It was the modern major general. So the principal pirate parrot partnership began with Treasure Island and Long John Silver. And I'm so amused by this. So that's where it started. And so a lot of historians they're back and forth. Some people are like, no, pirates didn't really do this very much. We just like to think it because of this iconic pirate. But then I did some deeper dives and I found a few like not sketchy articles that say they did. There's one pirate parrot's the taunting feathered friend. So basically they said like, yes, a lot of historians do agree that like a lot of pirates probably did have parrots as friends because they obviously were like working in the West Indies and the Caribbean, and your time on ships was very boring often because you'd be going for like 2 weeks to a couple of months. And they did like to have pets on board just to like pass the time. They didn't have dogs, which I didn't think about, but they were like, dogs were terrible pets on ships. And at the time, during the golden age of piracy in the early 1700s, dogs were like an aristocratic thing. So they'd have cats because they would catch vermin. But they were like, yeah, parrots actually made good pets because they were colorful and fun and exotic. So when they got to wherever they were going, they could sell parrots for like a good amount of money. But then also because they would chit-chat with you. So they were like, yeah, they probably did actually have
pass
them.
the time.
Yeah. So parrots and monkeys. So Pirates of the Caribbean is actually not far off, with having a pet monkey. They were the two most common pets for pirates. This is so difficult to say.
The premier picks for pirate pets.
The premier picks for pirate packs. Wait, I can't.
Principal pirate
Premier
pet picks.
pirate pet.
Chelsea, I'm
picks.
so impressed with you right now. I
know, I'm like red leather, yellow leather, red
leather, yellow leather.
Yellow leather, red.
My
yellow
God,
leather.
the premier picks for pirate pets were parrots and monkeys.
Principally parrots and
Principally parrots and monkeys.
Parrots and primates. Get out of
Parrots
here.
and oh my God.
The premier picks for pirate pets were principally parrots and primates.
I love it.
And the winner of this episode is Chelsea, just for putting together
I
that
might
sentence.
have to give it to myself. Yeah.
I think you
Okay.
do. So they did. Yeah. So it's more than just Treasure Island. It's more than just Pirates of the Caribbean. They did, in fact, have them. So that was a fun thing to learn. Also, I'm definitely looking at my bookshelf right now, and there's a book called Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a fun book. I highly recommend it.
Cool.
I read it like 10 years ago. I forgot about that until this moment right now. Yeah, apparently there were famously Jewish pirates who roved the Caribbean, and
I don't believe that at all.
There were, and then and
No,
there
I'm
were.
sure, I'm sure.
They talk about, and there was a thing. There were gay pirates, which obviously, but then some
But
studies
pirates.
were like, no, there weren't. And then I actually read about that a while ago, and there were a lot of gay pirates, but they weren't prosecuted as much because James I was king at the time, and James I was gay, as
Wow.
was Sir Francis Bacon, who was close with James I. So weirdly, under his reign, gay guys, homosexuals in general, were prosecuted a lot less. So yeah, so it took me to pirates. So Gilbert Gottfried and then pirates. Pirates did in fact have parrots and primates as their primary pets, principal pets. Another thing where parrots sort of took me down, because while looking into reading about pirates and their relationships to parrots, I ended up with parrots and crime, and I love true crime. And parrots have been witnesses in murder cases,
Oh, that's awesome.
which I think is interesting. I have so many websites open. There's one article called Foul Play, spelled how you would hope it would be spelled, crime and birds. So yeah, there was one bird in particular who was instrumental in a murder case of a woman in 2017 in Michigan. This woman was convicted of her husband's murder thanks to his parrot. She shot her husband and then shot herself in the head and tried to make it look like a murder.
Suicide.
She tried to do a murder-suicide situation, but she ended up surviving. And then they tried to say that like
Oopsies.
he shot her and then shot himself. Like they tried to flip it, and then they the parrot just kept saying in the husband's voice, because the parrot would mimic both of them. It kept saying in the husband's voice, "Don't fucking shoot! Don't fucking shoot!"
No way.
Which led investigators to say, like, why is it saying in the husband's voice, "Don't fucking shoot," instead of the wife's voice? Because it could perfectly mimic both of them.
Oh,
And
no.
the parrot was the only witness to the
What
crime.
a little parrot narc.
Yeah. And so that led them to investigate deeper. And then she ended up being found guilty.
Wow.
There was
Wow.
another parrot who in the mid-1990s was owned by a crime boss in New Orleans who was suspected of child abuse and other crimes. And the way they figured out he did it was because the parrot would imitate the kids that he was abusing.
Oh,
Oh.
no.
Which, talk about like a dark turn. It would even make the sounds. It would make thwack whack sounds of hitting.
Yeesh.
Oh
my
yeah, it
God.
would literally
That's
like
terrible.
yeah, this parrot would and because
That's
they've done
time.
oh I was gonna say because they've done studies, parrots actually are traumatized by violence and they will relive it to try and deal with the
Oh,
trauma of
wow.
what they've seen.
Yeah.
Where's
And
the
it
parrot
was
today?
trying to process it. It was moved to a better home.
I hope so.
Some parrots are
hope
not
so.
narcs, though. They did take one parrot from a famous drug trafficker, and it
He
would
wouldn't
repeat
talk?
things that it heard. And then when it moved to its new home, it never spoke again. And they were like, that parrot knew its job. That parrot did not tell anything.
Yeah.
Smart parrot.
Loose lips
Yeah.
sink ships.
Lutz lip sink shit.
Sink
And that
ships.
all started, that phrase comes from a parrot that was on a ship that actually sank.
It knew.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. I learned so much.
Do you know what's-
Ryan.
You know
Sorry,
what's
that
cool?
was a rambly one.
I'm very excited because like I actually have some like fun stuff interrelated but different.
Ooh, okay,
Ooh.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, without further ado, 10 minutes, Ryan, starts now.
So, of course, I had to focus on the bird a little bit. So, I'm going to share some stuff I learned about parrots. And then I have like a small kind of like personal story or experience with parrots that I'm going to share. So, we talked their colors. I don't know if you know this, but their colors, especially the blues and the greens, are not actually pigmentation. They're actually refracted light?
Fracked.
Refraction. Light refraction.
Fracking. They're fracking. Light.
Fracking.
They're fracking light.
Fracking light.
Just like
Um,
RuPaul.
just
Exactly what I was going to say.
100%. Let's be honest. Queen Parrot right there.
Yeah.
So they don't actually have pigment to do the blues and the greens. We see it because of how the light reflects off the feathers.
Oh, cool.
That is
They're
cool.
talkers, as we know, and they tend to be like 6 to 8-year-old children in terms of both their understanding and engagement. And they understand context. They don't necessarily understand what they're saying. So they know that what they're sharing with you fits in the context of a situation, not necessarily fully what it means, which I thought was interesting. They live.
Sounds like some people.
Oh, I know plenty of those people. I think we all do.
Chelsea was at
Yeah.
dinner with them.
Guys, can we go deeper than context here? So they live 50 to 80 years, but
Whoa.
the longest recorded parrot to live, or as we know it, is 120 years. And that parrot's name is Cocky Bennett. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Cocky. And it relates a bit to like what you were sharing, Michael. So Cocky was a silver-crested cockatoo. He was sailing in the South Pacific with Captain Ellis. And as a result, he picked up a fairly salty vocabulary. When Captain Ellis died, he was taken ownership ultimately by the Seabreeze Hotel in Sydney, where he turned into a bit of an attraction. And he would greet guests as they come in, as well as sit at the bar. And he was known for, at his end of life, complaining about the fact that he didn't have feathers. So he started to lose his plumage and apparently would say, "If I had another bloody feather, I'd fly," was one of his statements.
Oh.
And by the way, it's worth noting, he was actually born in 1796 and then died in 1916. So this is documented from like
Whoa.
a while ago. Also learned that I didn't know that bloody was a curse word back in the day. It was considered uncouth
Yeah.
Yeah.
to refer to something as bloody feathers, right? And he had a little collection box for St. George Hospital in Sydney, and all of the money donated for people who visited Cocky ultimately bought hospital beds that were labeled with his name in the hospital, which I thought was pretty cool. When he died in 1916, they taxidermied him, so he's still around per se.
Where?
At the
Louvre.
Cars Cottage Museum in Sydney is where you can go.
It's very similar to the
Similar.
Louvre.
Same as the Louvre, yeah.
Same idea.
Oh, it
Just
is.
Australia's version.
It's a little smaller,
Uh-huh.
a little more niche,
Mhm.
and it really just has this parrot.
Okay.
But other than that,
Yeah.
same.
Other than that, he was known to sit at the bar, and as people would get drinks, say at them, One at a time, gentlemen, please. One at a time, gentlemen, please. Because he was mimicking the bartender.
That's cute.
But yeah, like this bird like went from sailing the high seas to then being an attraction in Sydney and kind of playing out all of these different, like, I guess, stereotypes of a parrot, if you will.
Yeah.
He was the stereotypical parrot. Basic parrot, really.
Basic parrot.
Basic bitch.
I feel like he
basic
would
parrot.
take great offense to that.
Basic bitch parrot.
Yeah.
Get some better phrases, cocky.
Oh.
He sounds sweet.
He was I think he actually was at the end of the day, and that was like some of them are mean, like they're nasty, and they don't like people. They'll bite
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Their
My
beaks
friend Jordan, her family had, I think, a cockatiel, and that cockatiel only liked certain people, and didn't particularly like men, and would bite you. So, like, I got to meet him a couple times. But it was kind of like, yeah, maybe don't get too close because he'll bite you.
He'll nip at your fingies.
Fingies.
Oh, not your
nose.
And they have those beaks. Those are like gnarly.
Yeah, they're meant for breaking nuts.
I know. And my thought was, I was like, oh, birds are just gay men.
They're all kind of mean inside.
They're all kind of mean.
They're all deeply jaded in some way, shape, or form.
They're really pretty. They feel caged.
Yeah. It's like the bird cage. I love the bird
They're formidable.
cage.
Their formidable high school years actually scarred them for life.
Yeah, exactly.
They only like women. Like certain women.
Certain
women.
Yes.
Wow. Wait, is a cockatiel different than a cockatoo?
I have no idea.
Oh, cockatiels are a type of cockatoo.
Oh.
But they are smaller and have some distinct features.
I also was going to nerd out just a little bit on Parrot drones, which is actually a US-made drone. But I didn't my bad. It's actually a French company, but makes. They were the first people to make drones that were controlled by your phone, so you could use the phone to control the drone. And now they do a whole bunch of stuff with the military. So I guess they went from flying drones in your backyard to killing people. There's a bridge.
Cool.
But it didn't actually yield a whole bunch of information. So instead, I thought I'd talk about some of my own experiences interacting with parrots.
Okay.
Back in college, I took a trip to Africa, and it was like one of these like experiential things, immerse yourself, have the experience, come back, talk about it, write papers, get college credit. But easily one of the coolest trips I've ever taken in my life. We traveled to this small town called Yala, which is north of Kisumu in Kenya. And that was just the first leg of the trip. And like we took some computers with us. We did a house raising. We stayed at a local dignitary's house and woke up that morning and I milked a cow for the first time, which I had never done before. And
the last time?
Yeah, I haven't done it since. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should.
I was very good at it. I don't know what that means.
Wow.
Oh.
I think I do.
Thank you. Read into it. They're like, Ryan, you're not supposed to do that with your mouth. I was like, I actually had fresh milk from a cow, which I had never had before.
I bet that's amazing.
And because it was like raised there and like ate the grass of the land, it was actually kind of like a very like delicious sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah. But
so
it was kind of funny. I think we were intended, like while we were there and we lived on this, we actually lived on a boarding school campus. It was like a religious boarding school campus, and the connection was with the headmaster. So a lot of the stuff that we were doing was actually like kind of like free labor, because like we like cleaned up some roads, and the main carpet in his house was dirty, so we cleaned that. And then I thought I was going to help set up some computer shit, and it turns out he had me dictating soccer play sheets into the computer and saving them for him. Oh no! Well, okay, I didn't even get to the best part. So, my bad. So bad. So then we end up in the Masai Mara, and we were supposed to stay with the Maasai and live in their dung huts, but the rainy season ended it, so we ended up staying at this 5-star resort that was insane. And we went from like staying in dung huts to staying in luxury tents. But my main memory there is there was a giant gazebo, big round gazebo that had all this food and fruit. And when you walk in, like, you know, the whole presentation is insane, but then layer on that they have all of these Meyer parrots that are flying in and grabbing fruit and bread off of the
Those bastards.
yeah, and just like grabbing and then flying back up into the trees.
That's charming, though. I would like that.
So
That's
they're not
very,
gay because they were eating carbs.
True.
Oh, they love their carbs. Neither were the
Birds
monkeys.
love
The monkeys
carbs.
would descend out of the trees when people left their tables and would clean all the tables
Oh.
and take all
Wow.
the food and then dart back up into the trees. You know, you kind of look back on it and I'm like, I'm not sure it's very healthy, but like, I also got a terrible parasite from that trip. I don't know how. Maybe it was the birds in the in the gazebo. But yeah, I got terribly sick after that trip. And now that I talk about this, I think I understand why.
I feel like this is a theme. You had another one where you were incredibly sick watching an Ice Capades show.
Oh.
A Sarah
Yeah, it's
McLachlan
true.
ice dancing show. And
I
now
am-
you were very
Just
sick,
getting
in Africa. So your book is just going to be like the various
I
interesting
am-
places where you were incredibly ill.
Incredibly.
Oh no, I have a story about shitting the bed in India. Like I've had
As
like
one
I feel
does.
like I'm definitely a travel diarrhea guy. Like
Love it. Love it.
maybe TMI, but it's true, man. Like it's gonna happen at some point. So
Yeah.
just embrace it. Bring the Imodium.
Yeah. Wow. Bravo.
Not a sponsor.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Oh, man. Okay.
Maybe you should
I
only
think,
stay in dung huts moving forward.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Save you.
Be helpful.
Saves
Maybe
you
it'd
a
be helpful
step.
for my
I
biome.
was
I
gonna
don't
say.
know.
Saves you a step. You can help construct it.
Yeah. Habitat for Humanity. Yeah, you should
Yeah.
just build
Dung huts.
dung huts with your own.
Whose poop is
Personalized.
this? Mine.
Personalized dung huts.
Like, I came all the way here. Just
I heard this is how they're like, sir, that's not at all how this works.
yeah.
Here's some
Okay.
Imodium. Please leave.
Stop doing this.
Go home.
Go home, sir.
Great.
Oh.
Okay, well, I think for the first time I am gonna give myself the win because I had the purple pirate pet pick primary primates.
I support this.
I support this too. I think it's the clear choice.
Okay, and then next word, let's do hoarding. Have we done hoarding? No.
No.
Oh God!
Let's
all
do
right.
hoarding. Is that too
Hoarding.
triggering, Ryan? Is it too
I got-
triggering?
Yeah. Well, we're gonna find out.
We're gonna find out.
Oh God! I know what I'm going to talk
Uh-oh.
about. I wonder if my ex listens.
I hope so.
Me too.
Oh,
Aw.
man.
He's a good person though, so I don't want to pick on him.
There
too
you
much.
go.